coach. How you doing? Have you noticed that when other people know you're a coach, they expect you to almost always be a coach? Do you take the bait? Coach, please. Let's move on here. Monsalid, how you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm fired out of a cannon this morning, ready to
All
go.
right, all right. Well, it's our final episode of the season, and I had some people over for lunch lately, last weekend. A lot of things happened last weekend, I think, in this series, but I had some people over. It was such a lovely time. We sat down to play a game, this fun card game, which we never played with this couple. And one of them turned around and said, "Wow, like, you're so dynamic and so competitive when you play games." And I said, "Yeah, I can be. Yeah." And they were really surprised. Like he was really surprised by what he saw from my behavior. And that made me realize something. They knew I was a coach, but they have never actually seen me coach. But somewhere in their mind, it's like they had already had an idea of what it must mean about me personally and like what my personality must be like as a coach because all of a sudden I showed them this other side of me. And this isn't the first time that this has happened. Actually, last summer I was playing a game and another gentleman was like, "Wow, you're so competitive." Because I don't think I really come across competitive. Like I'm really not, but if I'm playing a board game or like a fun game, I do get competitive. But again, it's like the surprise of seeing a different side of who you are. And
Mhm.
mind you, they knew I was a coach, but I've never sat with them in a coaching session. They've never seen me coach. And so it just makes me think about, I feel like there are people that expect the coach version of me to always be showing up to everything.
And that's an interesting shift in the lens from where the rest of the season's been about of how we show up with that mask. And now others looking for us to wear it all the time. And I do the same thing. I am hyper competitive, particularly when it comes to bar trivia. That's my happy place. That's where I glow because I just have this storehouse of information that I just somehow seem to know. And when we lived in Florida, there was a group of us, group of friends who would go out every Tuesday night to this bar restaurant in Fort Myers. And oh man, it got heavy because when I walked in, it was like, I am going to crush you. This team, we are going to crush, and there will be no other winners, and it will be absolutely clear that it is us who know everything. And it's so much fun to be there, like just to put myself out there in that space and win is the and we can talk about I probably need a therapy session over all of that and what it says about me and who I'm being in those moments. And you know what, I don't care, it's just so much fun.
It is fun. And, it makes me think we did last season, our final episode of season two, we talked a lot about the mask we wear. And I talked a little bit about, and you do too, we believe that we are multi-dimensional, complex human beings. And just because I like one style of music, that should define the clothes I wear and everything else about me. And it's like, why can't we wear different styles of clothes? Why can't we listen to different styles of music? Like, why do these outside external things have to define that I have one personality and there's only one multi-dimension of who I am when actually I'm just, well, that would be a single dimension, right? So it makes me think about this. It's like people see you, "Oh, she's a coach. She must probably be very patient and kind, and I'm mild mannered, and I'm soft spoken, and I don't." Yeah, I'm all these things that they see, but then all of a sudden they were so surprised by this other version of me. Like, how could that be you? And I wonder what that is. Is this just people once again, they're placing this title on you? Hey, you're a coach, so you must be this kind. Like you're a therapist, you must behave like this, listen to everybody and hear all their problems and then give your feedback. Are you not allowed to have any other sides to your personality?
No, you're not, because you're a coach. And now the label and the mask is there, and that's all you are.
Yep.
Your role suddenly becomes your identity to that person. The danger is not letting it become your identity to you. which is so much of what I in my private client work. It's their role has in some way become their identity. And both because others now, oh, because you're a manager, director, whatever, and and you've gotten here, and it happens to us as well because you're an ACC, a PCC, an MCC, and people look up. That must mean something about how you show up differently. And while yes, there's a truth, it will show up differently at those levels because we've learned and evolved. It's not the only way I'm going to show up. And even thinking about this season of recordings, there's our energy is different than the first season.
It
This
is.
is much looser and playful and a little bit more controversial maybe with the things, and but we're showing up more as us as human beings who just happen to do this thing that starts with a C than trying to teach or do anything else.
Hmm. Yeah, you
And
made me think of something, and I think it's probably for another video, but when it's almost, I just had a moment where I struggle with when I'm a coach, bringing in my personality into my coaching session. And I think that that is something probably for another conversation. You know, when we are in our everyday life, I know that I have multiple sides to myself and multiple personalities I don't mean that as a civil kind of way, but multiple dimensions to myself. And so different people know me in different ways because I'm different with them, right? But when I go to coach, it's like I put my coaching hat on and that has its own specific that is its own being. And sometimes I do think, oh, I have a sense of humor, but I don't really in my coaching. Maybe I could bring that in somehow. And I think that there is that struggle to as a coach, especially a newer coach, to bring in some of your own personal dynamics into your coaching while still becoming a great coach. And at the same time, it's how do you help people to see, not that you have to help them to see that you are more than a coach, but I do feel limited when I say I'm a coach, then that's what I've become labeled as. And it is unfortunate that people put you in such a narrow category and sort of put you in this box, right? I mean, are coaches not competitive? Are they not dynamic?
I'm sure they're competitive because, how often do we refer clients to each other? We
Oh,
want to
I'm
keep them
being a
for
little facetious.
ourselves.
Yeah,
There's that.
yeah. I'm being a little facetious though with the person that was like, "Wow, you're so dynamic and competitive." It's like,
Mm-hmm.
what am I supposed to just play the game and be like, "Oh, that's interesting that you made that choice." Like, no, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it.
You rolled a six. Tell me how you feel about rolling a six. Oh, you landed on go straight to jail. How's that? How's that sitting with you right now? What does it mean? I'm
Right,
noticing a pattern in this game.
but now it makes me think about another series we did, right? Which is how do we live the competencies as a coach. And so if
Mm-hmm.
where's that fine line, right? If we're trying to show up in our everyday life, the with the integrity and the competencies that we do within the session, right? Like how we live is how we coach. So if we are trying to show up every day with that in mind, maybe that is why they're looking at us as just the coach. Maybe we are only showing up in one way, and which then begs the question of how do you still have a personality but show up as a coach in your everyday life, This
So
has
it's kind
gotten
of
really
funny.
deep. It's
Yeah,
gone all
what's really funny there is the one that jumped forward when you were talking about the other series we do is Core Comp 2 of coach the bullet point coach mentally and emotionally prepares for all sessions. So there's this idea of we're preparing to be a certain way when we go to meet with somebody. But if we're living that in the world, are we inadvertently by mentally and emotionally preparing for the next interaction or the next dinner party or the next game? Are we putting a mask on there because we're assuming it's going to play by certain rules? And that's what they're sensing is we boxed ourselves in of like, this is what I'm allowed to do here, rather than just like, you know what? There are no rules. We're just going to have fun.
Yeah. But then you have fun and they're like, wow, that's so surprising. I never seen that side of you before. You can't
Tell me
win
more
either
about
way.
that side you've never. What are you experiencing right now as you see this? Tell me more about that. I'm really.
So do you think, like now hearing my experience and what's happened to me, and then you mentioned, you used to go do bar trivia. what do you think it would have been like for somebody to meet you in that setting and then you say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a coach. I help people." Do you think they would have been really? Whoa. Like, how do you think it would have been because they're seeing you in a setting that isn't typically a normal setting for, say, a coach? Do you think that you would have gotten how would that have played, I guess?
So I think the first thing to tie in here is I wouldn't lead with the resume. As we talked about, I wouldn't say I'm a coach. I was like, oh, I can help you find your answers too. Um, I think what it would have done is made me more accessible and more human in the mask that I wear as the role that I do
Mm,
than anything else. Because that's more of me as the human, having
yeah.
fun, being competitive. And my mentor for my MCC, and it was Hayden Lee, and a great coach, known him for years. When I first met him, we were part of a big coaching intensive, and he did a presentation in that intensive called "What Makes You Weird Makes You Money." And it was more of a marketing presentation, like that thing that you really don't want to talk about is the place that other people are looking for you because that's your secret sauce. And I think the same thing comes in here, that when we bring our humanity and our quirks and the things that we love and really let that be seen, that's where people are going to be drawn to us, not
Agreed.
in the "Hi, I'm here to help you live your dreams and let's help you facilitate that. Tell me more. What's going on for you right now? How are you feeling? What's the
Yeah.
meaning of that? What meaning are you putting on it? It
Yeah,
just
I think
roll."
the real freedom of being a coach is remembering, you don't have to be the coach in every room. But I think the funny part is that all people, and I'm sure I'm guilty of this, they think your profession describes your whole personality. But listen, coaching is something I do. It's not the only thing I do. And I think that's how I leave with this experience. Yeah.
Yeah. And even I think this might be the story that closes this season out. Um, as you have all watched this season, you probably notice I have a different background because I turned my office 90 degrees counterclockwise last weekend. And
Do you want to show us where
from
you were and where you are? No.
I'd go Blair Witch on you moving the camera. So look at a previous video, you'll see what it was.
You will.
It's
You will.
two Kansas City Chiefs jerseys, and I was sandwiched between them having this conversation. And the story behind them is all about the relationship between those players, Alex Smith and Patrick Mahomes, and how Smith mentored Mahomes in his first year, and all of that was my visual reminder of how I wanted to show up for people. And when my wife and I moved to this house, I knew that was going to be my background before this office ever existed. I knew that was my background. And I have a friend, Bob, who is a coach in on the East Coast. Great guy. Met him in that same intensive, very spiritual. And we have very deep spiritual connections and very deep spiritual conversations. I had set up the office, posted a picture on LinkedIn or on Facebook at the time, like, "Look, new office, can't wait to serve." And I had a conversation with Bob that Monday, and he has given me permission to share this story. Um, he comes into the meeting, we're chatting, and I'm like, "What do you think of it?" He's like, "Yeah, I saw that post." I'm like, "What?" And he's like, and I'm just going to be blunt here, I'll say exactly what he said to me. "I don't know what that shit is behind you, but that is not you. You are a spiritual being. I don't know what that shit's all about." I'm like, "But wait, I am a spiritual being and I love football." It's all, and we just got into this role because it was an association. What are these symbols? And interestingly, I didn't get caught up in it. We neither of us did. It turned into this really developed conversation. And it was, yeah, there is this, like, there's this and there's me as the spiritual, but I also really love football. Um, and
That's
I
funny.
didn't
It's like
think,
you can't love football and be spiritual, right?
yeah.
The
And
box
then
that
it
put it in.
that office the office was set up this way for 3.5, almost 4 years. When I turned it last weekend and sat down here, as soon as this desk was spun, the energy in this room changed. And I sat and I saw the background I now have, which has all of those spiritual elements has my comic books. There's Swamp Thing up in the corner. There's some other stuff, some signed first editions. There's a lot of self-help and coaching books here. And like this is, it feels like this is more a representation of me of just those two jerseys, which are very micro niched symbols into a little bit of tribalism. Really, it's like following a football team is the same as having a tribe. So broadening out my experience, that it's not these two big things maybe defining me, it's all of this. And what version are people expecting from me? Did individuals seeing those write me off because they saw these two big red jerseys behind me, and just like he did in that moment, like, that's not you, that's who I want to talk to. They want to talk to the different me. And maybe this is part of my evolution, is changing this and coming back to this is a more whole representation of me. It's not the only one, but it's a much bigger picture.
Yeah, I think this leaves me with, let's remember that just because there's a title or a profession that somebody does, it doesn't mean that's all they do, or that's their only profession. And uh, yeah, I may be a coach, but I can be competitive in a game, and I can be really
Mm-hmm.
dynamic on occasion.
Mm-hmm. And I will crush you. It's on. All right. That wraps us up for season 3. Monthly, how do you want to take us out?
Hey, if you liked what you heard, please like us, subscribe to us, and we've got 2 previous seasons. They're short, they're fun. We always try to talk about what goes on outside a session for a coach. So if you are a coach and you're like, what's going on in your life? How do you live? How do you want to live? How do you show up to like crazy, awkward moments? This is for you. And we hope to see you next season, which is going to be sooner than you think.
Yeah, we are just kind of bringing it full circle in this season. We are on a mission to bring life and fresh air and fresh water to this pool so that you can thrive. Because when you live well, you coach better. See you later.
See you soon.